Okay, guys, I think I'm live. Let's try this out. This is Tyler Cutt for Pamela Preps podcast. This should be going out live on the Twitter feed. I'm going to try this out. Not sure if it's going to work. I may hate it and completely delete it, but we're going to give this a shot. I'm going to give you my immediate thoughts on what I saw tonight in high school football in terms of the scores, the recaps that I saw on Twitter, and what I saw calling the games tonight. I saw Lugoff Elgin versus Spring Valley. Of course, neither of those teams probably going anywhere in the playoffs. You've got a very young team in Spring Valley, a lot of sophomores for Lugoff Elgin, of course. They're a team in transition, trying to build culture and trying to get things started there. But, you know, this was a very interesting game, very gutsy performance by both teams. It was a must-win for both Spring Valley and Lugoff Elgin. The Vikings came out on top 16-10. A couple of squandered opportunities for the Demons. Coach Matt Campbell, the former South Carolina Gamecock and one of the original Carolina Panthers, took all the blame in this one. They had the ball inside the 40, did the Demons, on two different occasions, and could not find a way to punch it in. Couldn't come out with a score. And Spring Valley got the win here, 16-10. The Vikings are 1-1 in region play. Demons fall to 0-2. And, you know, that region is probably going to be decided by Sumter. But Blythewood's starting to roll a little bit. Blythewood had a big win over Irmo, 42-35, I saw. Irmo made a little comeback in that game. Blythewood's offense is starting to put up some big points. And I just don't think they'll have enough for Sumter. And we're going to talk about Sumter here in a moment. They were on a bye this week. I'm going to try to pull up the scores here as this one just pops up on my Twitter feed. I heard all about this game. Let's talk about this one. This was one of the bigger upsets of the night. I didn't really consider that much of an upset, but Fairfield Central defeated Camden 21-20. Marcus Alston blocked a field goal as time expired, and the Griffins hold on for the 1-point win. Griffins are 4-4 overall, but 2-0 in the region. Camden gets handed their first loss. They're 6-1, 0-1 in region play. Here's the thing. I obviously know a lot about both these teams. I cover them on a week-to-week basis. I talk to the coaches. I talk to those fan bases and a lot of people in that community. I got to be honest, I think Camden might have been looking ahead of Fairfield Central. You know, you don't see a lot of trap games in high school football, but I think this was one of those rare occurrences where Camden may or may not have been looking ahead of Fairfield and looking ahead to Chester, who they have next week at Zemp Stadium. I could be completely off on this one, but from people that I talked to, there were a lot of folks worried about this one because the kids saw, coaching staff and fans, they all saw Chester just barely beat Indian Land, and I think some Bulldog fans and players are probably licking their chops saying, hey, Chester's beatable. The defending 3A champs, Chester Cyclones, they're beatable. And they might have been looking ahead of the Griffins a little bit. But make no mistake about it, Fairfield Central deserved this win. That's a good football team. They play very good defense. Demetrius Davis is running a little wildcat there in Winsboro. His quarterback is a little nicked up, and he's running some wildcat from what I understand, but it's a very good defense. Listen, coming into this game, since 2011, Demetrius Davis was 34-6 in region play. I'm pretty close on that number, 33, 34-6, something like that. I mean, when the region play starts, Demetrius Davis turns it on. I mean, he's very solid head coach there with the Griffins, and he needed this one. So the Griffins are 2-0. All right, let's look at some other scores. I'm just going to kind of glaze over these and give you my initial thoughts. I didn't see a whole lot of upsets when I initially looked through the scores earlier tonight. I went to Waffle House, got the All-Star Special. Shout out Waffle House. But let's see here. Bamberg Earhart over Allendale Fairfax, 26-7. Not a big surprise there. Kind of got to dig deep. Let's see here. Lee Central over Louisville, 57-28. Andrew Jackson all over Beaufort Academy, 67-16. Trying to point out some top 10 teams here. Belton Honeypath all over Palmetto, 56-28. Bluffton loses to Beaufort, I guess that's a rival game there. South Point, they stay unbeaten in region play. They defeat Lancaster 42-21. I've become pretty good friends with Chris Miller of WRHI. He's one of the top sportscasters in the state. We'll probably have him on the podcast real soon. He covers all those Rock Hill teams. And I asked him just yesterday, I said, Chris, is this South Point team legit? There was all this talk about Straight Heron, retiring from public education, going over to that new school, Legion Collegiate. And I asked him, I was like, is it true that there were players that went over to Legion Collegiate and transferred? And he said, no. He said, South Point is still a machine. Said, didn't matter who they hired at coach. South Point still has dudes. They still have studs there for the Stallions. And watch out for South Point in the playoffs. I think a lot of people kind of looked over South Point, thinking with a new coach, some new pieces there, a lot of new coaches there on that staff, that they would have a down year, but they're not. I think South Point's only lost one game. So they're having a great year. North Central got a big win tonight. Tyrone Drakeford is the head coach over there. You might know that name because he's a former Virginia Tech Hokie. He is also a former NFLer, played in the Super Bowl when the 49ers beat the Chargers. I guess that was 95. Played on the other side of Deion Sanders. He's got that NFL pedigree. I respect him greatly. He's great to talk football with, by the way. And North Central got a big win. They got to win 2 of their next 3 to make the playoffs. Knights had a big season last year, and hopefully they can bounce back and do it again. May River, boy, they keep rolling. Watch out for these Sharks, man. Rodney Summers has done a hell of a job over there. Building that program to what it is. They made a deep run in the playoffs last year, and they look to be another strong program this year. Somerville, Oliver Stahl, 54-27. This one kind of stood out. Is Silver Bluff down? Somebody tell me. I'm not sure. Batesburg-Leesville beat up Silver Bluff 33-7. Hadn't heard much from Silver Bluff this year. Buford beat Central 16-12. That's an interesting score there. Central of Pageland has been really good so far this year, and Buford got the win 16-12. Man, that's a fun region. Buford Central, Lee Central, North Central, Chesterfield, and then Andrew Jackson. People keep forgetting about Andrew Jackson. I saw a great piece in the Herald Online about AJ and how they have kind of turned things around. I think AJ's like 6-1. Let's see if anything else jumps out. Lower Richland got a win. That is their first win in the region. Clover's undefeated. I haven't heard much out of Clover, but I know they're unbeaten. They knocked off Northwestern 27-24. Nation 4 beat Fort Mill in the big rival game there. Fort Mill is unfortunately one of the worst teams I've seen this year. And I hate to say that because, high school football is a passion. I hate to use negative words, but, boy, Fort Mill is just not very good, unfortunately. Spartanburg's way down, but they hung with Bowling Springs tonight. 3 overtimes. This was probably your game of the night, right? Bowling Springs beat Spartanburg 44-37 in 3 overtimes. My boy Ryan Clary was probably losing his voice calling that one. Airport got a nice win on the road at North Augusta, 30-29. Airport is going to be a tough team. They've got 2 really good running backs there. Chester got a win over Keenan, 31-6, the defending 3A champs. They are still tops in 3A. Chapin with a nail-biter over White Knoll. Of course, White Knoll just lost their all-star, do-it-all quarterback, Avion Smith. Avion going to Miami of Ohio, one of the best athletes in the state, and I dare anybody to challenge me on that. Probably should have been nominated for Mr. Football, which we'll get to in a second. I want to talk about Mr. Football. Westwood with a nice win. I think that was on the road over York, 28-22. Ridgeview's rolling, 47-0 over Ardeen. Dutch Fork, what's the stat now? I think they've won 33 in a row. I think that's right. Dutch Fork has won 33, 34 in a row, something like that. They beat River Bluff, and that's the River Bluff Gators' first loss of the year. 48-14, Silver Foxes won there. Let's see if anything else jumps out. I saw Myrtle Beach won big. Yep, there you go. Myrtle Beach 67, Darlington nothing. I got a good friend over there that's coaching at Darlington, Raymond Jennings. Respect him a lot. Real good defensive coach. I hope he can turn things around over there in D-Town. Brooklyn Casey, man, watch out for the Bearcats. This is a team that's going to sneak up on people. Brooklyn Casey with Rusty Sharpie at coach, very underrated coach. I think they still run that diamond offense that is so hard to guard. BC won over South Aiken 35-20. Dorman with a big win. They knocked off Gaffney 34-10. I heard Gaffney was back, but Dorman said, nuh-uh, not quite. 34-10, Dorman wins. Let's see. Watch out for Newberry. I just saw the highlights on WLTX, Channel 19 here in Columbia, and Newberry looked good, man. They looked real good. They got a big, good-looking quarterback, and, of course, they run the ball. This was a slight upset. Some people may disagree with me here. Wilson knocked off North Myrtle Beach 43-21. This was a battle of undefeateds. This was number 4 against number 5 in the polls. Here's the thing about Wilson. When they're good, they're really good. When they're in the top 5, and when they have a team, boy, oh boy, they are competitive, and they are strong. And that's a big win for Wilson. So, good for them. Manning over Georgetown, don't talk a lot of Skeeza, but Heathwood Hall's having a good year. I don't know if we got any Skeeza fans in the house, but Heathwood Hall, I think that's their 6th win, and if I'm not mistaken, I think they won 5 games all of last year. So that's 6 wins for them. AC Flora beat Lakewood. All right, so I was wrong on Flora. I think I said this on the podcast. I know I wrote it in my article on coladaily.com. So I made the statement that I don't think AC Flora is going to lose another game, and in terms of the regular season, I may be wrong on that, okay? Because I just saw highlights of Orangeburg Wilkinson. I think Orangeburg Wilkinson is 5-1. They've only lost 1 game. They're either 5-1 or 6-1. Orangeburg Wilkinson's got dudes. I mean, they are big. They are tall. They are lengthy on defense. Big wide receivers, big defensive ends. Man, that's going to be a challenge for AC Flora. You know, that's going to be a dogfight. I got to find out when that game is, because that's your game of the week in high school football there. That's going to be a good one. Orangeburg Wilkinson might have a squad. And Orangeburg Wilkinson is kind of like Wilson. Man, when they're good, they are so athletic, man. They look good getting off the bus. They always look good getting off the hoof, as they say. But Orangeburg Wilkinson, AC Flora. We'll go try to find out when that game is while I'm looking at scores here. I hope y'all enjoy this. Just kind of my immediate reactions out of the game. Let's see here. Flora will play OW. They will play them. There you go. Next week, 10-18. Yep. And that is at Orangeburg. There's your game of the week, folks. OW and Flora. I'd pay attendance to that one. TL Hanover easily 37-10. Again, just looking at the scores. Midland Valley over Aiken 20-10. Burns blanks Malden 43-0. Malden's kind of up and down, but Burns, man, woof, they're strong. Union County defeated Woodruff 48-28. That's a pretty big rivalry game. Dillon over Loris 51-20. Dillon, of course, still top ranked. I don't think anybody's going to challenge Jackie Hayes in that bunch for a while. Abbeville all over Fox Creek 52-14. Shout out to our guest Benji Greason. He was on the podcast this week. Great guy. Great Collegiate blank Columbia tonight 49-0. Let me tell you something. Great Collegiate, they're not going to lose another game. That region is not very good at all. I don't think Great Collegiate's going to lose another game. I think they will win that region like they did last year, and I think they will probably get challenged in the second round of the playoffs in 2A. I think they're in the lower state. Conway over Socastee, 28-8. Conway's been kind of up and down. West Florence got a win tonight. It was really that all jumped out to me in terms of the top-ranked teams. Yeah, now I'm getting into October 4th. So those are all the scores. That's all the stuff that jumped out to me. I wanted to say something about Mr. Football. I normally don't have a whole lot of opinions when it comes to Mr. Football. I know how it works. You know, you have to nominate someone. And more than likely, the person that wins Mr. Football is the right person. Okay, let me say that. And all those candidates are more than deserving. This is, I hate calling it a down year. I hate being negative. I really do. I don't mind being negative talking Gamecocks, Tigers, and NFL, but this is high school football. I mean, these are 14, 15, 16-year-old kids, okay? That's why I got to try to stop myself. But this has been kind of a down year in terms of Mr. Football. Now, we have a lot of talent, sophomore and juniors this year, but not so much in the senior class. And, of course, Mr. Football goes to a senior. I think this is Luke Doty's award to lose. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. But I do want to say that Mr. Football, I think, should be more about a resume of your entire high school career. I think it should be more than just your senior season. I think it should be what you've done from freshman to senior season, or maybe you've only started 2 years and they were just an amazing 2 seasons. You know, Jalen Hyatt has had an unbelievable junior and senior season for Dutch Fork. He's, of course, a candidate. The kid for Chapman waited in line, waited his turn, and now he's, doing a bunch of great things for them. Chapman is rolling again. But, and I do want to say this, I think 1A and 2A athletes need to be recognized more in Mr. Football. Now, you've had some that have been recognized, but these are kids that are playing both ways in 1A and 2A, and I think those kids should get recognized more, even if they're not like the Division I top prospect, top-ranked player in the state. Those kids deserve their due, man. They really do. And I've kind of had a bad taste in my mouth ever since Avery McCall didn't win it for Dillon. He is still to this day the only quarterback to go to 4 straight state championships as a quarterback and win them all. No one else has done that. And I thought he should have won Mr. Football based just on that stat, because that is a phenomenal stat. But again, I think Mr. Football is an awesome award. I think it's great for those kids, but I think 1A and 2A athletes should be recognized more, and I think it should be based more on your 4-year resume. And I've always thought that. Now, again, the voters may look into that. Luke Doty played as a wide receiver his freshman year. I called one of his games when he was a freshman as a wide receiver, and he was great. And then, of course, they realized this kid can throw it around a little bit, and they put him at quarterback. But, yeah, that was my thoughts on Mr. Football. I think that's Luke Doty's to lose. I think Jalen Hyatt has a slight chance, but usually any guy that's headed to the University of South Carolina, and this is not any sort of bias towards the award, they normally get recognized as the award winner. Okay, I think that's all the scores that I see. This was fun. How long was this? 20 minutes? Yeah, I guess that's right. I'm just sitting here looking at scores, and I thought this would be a good idea to do a little podcast and tell you what I thought. Some highlights, some numbers, and nothing else really jumped out to me, but fun night in high school football. Fun night. I mean, it was tough for my Demons. My Lugov Elgin Demons, but good night for Fairfield, good night for North Central, some of those teams that I cover, and good night for a lot of teams that got closer to the playoffs. Here's the thing, we got 3 weeks left, folks. 4 weeks, 4 weeks. There's a lot of must-win games coming up. Gosh, I can't wait for Sumter and Blythewood. That's going to be a ball game. I can't wait for Orangeburg Wilkinson AC Flora. That's going to be a good one. Brooklyn Casey and Airport got to play again. Let's see here. Dutch Fork doesn't really have another big test. I think River Bluff was probably their biggest test. They probably won't get tested again to the 3rd or 4th round of the playoffs. But man, oh man, some real good games coming up in the Midlands and in the Upstate. Burns is still rolling. Dorman is still rolling. We'll see if they get slipped up at all, or challenged at least. Here in the state. All right, well, that'll do it. That was my thoughts on Friday night. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope someone listened, and I hope I'm recording. I hope this sounds okay. But that's what we're going to go with. I will talk to you guys next week.